How easy is it to beat Pokémon Red if everything is Mono Rock type? Squirtle is now a Rock type. Pikachu is now a Rock type. Geodude is now only a Rock type. I got this idea from my other playthroughs of Pokemon games where the types are swapped. I got to thinking, what if instead of every type being swapped, everything was just the same type? And how easy would it be? So here we are. I chose to make everything Rock type for my first run in the series because I thought it would probably be the simplest to counter with its weaknesses to water, grass, fighting, and ground, 2 special types, and 2 physical types that are all pretty common, so it should be a good starting challenge for this series. So how easy is it to beat Pokemon Red if everything is a Rock type? Let's get into it. I chose Squirtle as my starter and appropriately named it Rocky. I went with Squirtle because it learns Bubble at level 8, which immediately puts us at the top percentage of all trainers in the early game since everything is doing not very effective damage against everything else. One thing to note in this run, Bubble is effectively 40 base power. It's normally 20 base power, but since everything is a Rock type, it will always hit for super effective damage, and it will never have stab because, again, everything is a Rock type. We make it through Viridian Forest at level 10, and I turn around and do a little more grinding since Brock is no longer 4 times weak to Bubble. I get to level 11 and take on the Junior Trainer, which isn't too much different from the normal game, except that we are now resistant to all of their attacks, so it ends up being pretty easy, and then we level up to level 12. Taking on Brock, Bubble doesn't do near as much as I would like it to, hitting Geodude for about a quarter of its health, but since it only has Tackle and Defense Curl, it's not too much of an issue. We make it to level 13 before Brock sends out Onix, and again we take out about a quarter of its health. After it had already used Bide. I stall the 3-turn Bide out with Tail Whip, and Onix hit Rocky for pretty big damage. Rocky and Onix were at a speed tie, so if Onix had used Bide again, I might have lost, but it used Tackle twice, luckily for us, and then I used Bubble, won the speed tie, and knocked it out with another Bubble, granting us the Boulder Badge in this run. I head to the east of Pewter where Rocky and I take on all the trainers to level up, and Rocky evolves into a War Turtle. And with that, Rocky can pretty much one-shot everything in the early game, so we make pretty quick work of Mount Moon, and then make it to Cerulean City. I heal and head up to take on Nugget Bridge rival. I expect this rival to be relatively easy, especially compared to what awaits us with Misty. Pidgeotto hits with Sand Attack in between a few chip damage quick attacks, which isn't too great. Then he sends out Abra, and this is where you can kind of see this run can get a little interesting. Abra ends up being a 2-shot with its good special stat, taking as much damage as Bulbasaur does from a single water gun. Rocky gets Bulbasaur down to a smidgen of health, and then proceeds to miss 6 times in a row. Bulbasaur could have easily knocked us out with Vine Whip in any of that time, but luckily for us it didn't, and we bested Rival 2. Now that Rocky is at level 21, I attempt to take on Misty's gym. I defeat the first swimmer easily enough, and the Junior Trainer is a non-issue since Golding's only attack is Pet. And then I take on Misty. And yeah, it went pretty bad. Water Gun isn't doing near enough damage to the enemy Staryu that gets our health pretty low, and then Starmie comes out and just finishes us off. So instead of doing that, I take on Nugget Bridge for the sweet experience. After getting to Bills and making it all the way to level 25, I take on Misty again. And I forgot to heal. But I outspeed Staryu this time, and it goes down a little easier. Starmie's Bubble Beam does not take me out, meaning it would have been about a 3-hit KO at best. But I misclick and go for Bubble, but it doesn't matter anyways, and we lose again to Misty. So I think it's about time to get the second member of my team south of Cerulean. It's a Mankey! I catch it and give it the nickname we were all thinking, Rocky. At the time of recording this, I had no idea what fighting type moves Mankey could learn on level up, but I was hopeful maybe it could learn something pretty quick. Well, it turns out, and you may already know this, the only fighting type move Mankey learns in Red and Blue on level up is Seismic Toss at level 33. What? What? But I've been looking for an excuse to use Mankey and Primeape on my team unironically, and you know what? If not now, when? So we're utilizing Mankey's speed and high attack and teach it not Water Gun. I thought I had realized Mankey wasn't going to learn a fighting type move pretty early on, but I guess not, so we'll just have to wait to see what I teach it later. Anyways, we battle all of the trainers north of Vermilion for more of that sweet experience, make it into Vermilion, and then I attempt to catch the third member of our team, Dugtrio. This one's only level 17, but maybe we can make it work. I get it down to about a third of its health and throw a Great Ball, which it promptly breaks out of in one twitch, and I don't have any other Pokeballs because YOLO. So I knock it out and go get some Pokeballs and come back and encounter the Dugtrio I was looking for, this massive level 31 big boy. Rocky gets it down to about a third health, it goes for dig, and Rocky just barely survives. We start chunking Pokeballs, but Dodrio breaks out of all of them and knocks Rocky out. But we have a plan now, I'm going to use a repel with Rocky out in front to lure the big guy out. Dodrio goes for dig and knocks Rocky out in one hit with a critical dig. So I send out Rocky and throw a Pokeball. And Dodrio stays in the Pokeball, let's go! So I nicknamed the newly caught Dodrio something incredibly unique, Rocky. After healing, I decide to go ahead and sweep through the trainers on the SSN for some more experience for Rocky, and we take on SSN Rival. Rocky ends up falling to burn from a previous battle and some confusion hits, but I send out Rocky, and Rocky easily takes out my rival Rocky's Ivysaur. And after beating Rival, I decide to teach Rocky that move I hinted at earlier. I teach Rocky Dig, so maybe now he'll be able to fight his own battles. We watch SSN back out of the port and then head up to Cerulean to maybe actually beat Misty this time. I lead off with my level 18 Mankey Rocky, and we don't outspeed, but Rocky survives a water gun and does some pretty good damage with Dig. I swap into Rocky and finish Staryu off, swap Rocky back in for experience, and then Swappy Rocky back in for an easy victory. And with that, we beat the scariest battle for a while and earn the Cascade badge, and get a nice upgrade for Rocky's water type moves in Bubble Beam. I realized I hadn't had an HM friend yet, so I go and catch an Oddish specifically for that. And since it's my cut HM user, I decide to nickname it Rocky. Rock Tunnel is a non-issue, save for the Pokemaniacs with their Slowpoke and Cubone that do super effective damage against poor Rocky Mankey, but we won't talk about that right now, and we get to Lavender Town, and I face off against Rocky in the Lavender Town Tower. Rocky almost one-shots Pidgeotto with Dig, but it can't do anything against me, so it goes down to a second Dig. Then Gyarados comes out, and I always underestimate Gyarados in these runs. Rocky outspeeds and gets some major damage off on Gyarados, but then Rival knocks Rocky out with a super effective Hydro Pump. So I send out Rocky. Okay, I'm done. I'm getting confused at this point. I send out War Turtle, hoping to counter Gyarados with its. It's not really a high special stat, but it's better than Dodrio. War Turtle survives with about a third of its health, but I misclick and go for Water Gun. Luckily, Gyarados misses its next Hydro Pump, and War Turtle knocks it out. The rest of Rival's team goes down in 2 hits, and we get this win. I make my way to Celadon, pick up a Freshwater, Pokédoll, a Water Stone, and Eevee that we name Rocky, and I immediately evolve it into Vaporeon and realize I hadn't been putting any of the sprites on the left-hand side of the screen, so I do that real quick. After giving the water to the guard, I decide to face Lieutenant Surge before I forgot about him, and yeah, it's an easy fight. After beating Pokemon Tower, rescuing Mr. Fuji, and getting the Pokeflute, we level up a bit more and go face Erica. And unfortunately, I lost my voice audio in this recording. What is he saying? I have no idea, but it was very expressive, whatever it was. Anyways, we go take on Erica's gym, and I'm a little worried about her gym because her grass-type moves are super effective against my whole team, and this is the second real threat we face so far, the first being Misty, so I fight every trainer in the gym to get some levels. At level 30, I send Primeape out against Erica. Primeape outspeeds Victory Bell and gets a huge one-shot with Dig, then gets another one-shot against Tangela. Erica sends Vileplume out, Primeape hits with Dig, leaving just a little sliver of health on Vileplume, and Erica gives up her attack for her Super Potion, securing us the win and earning us the Rainbow Badge. The badge I thought would be incredibly difficult, but actually it wasn't too bad. I celebrate this victory by catching a flying Doduo and naming it Rocky, and then head south for Fuchsia where I start taking on Koga's gym. But I get about halfway through and realize I could be using a much more powerful move on 2 of my Pokemon. So I go get Surf and the Gold Teeth from the Safari Zone and come right back to Koga's gym. Leading off with a level 29 Vaporeon, Coughing almost goes down in one hit, but Koga just uses an X attack and we take it out. Then Muck gets a poison off on Vaporeon and some pretty good damage before Vaporeon takes it out. Coughing is a 2-hit again, and Koga is down to his ace. I swap in War Turtle, who takes a Sludge self-destruct combo to secure us the win. Heading back to Saffron, we go into Sylph Company and to take on Team Rocket, and I head up to the 9th floor and grab TM26 Earthquake, which is such a good move for this run. I instantly teach it to Dugtrio, which looking back, I could have waited a few levels and taught it to Blastoise instead, but it's fine. We then proceed to sweep the building of all Team Rocket grunts for that sweet XP, and then with everything at levels 33 and 34, we take on Sylph Rival. I send Dugtrio out as my lead and use Earthquake on Pidgeot that does massive damage. Again, Pidgeot can't really do anything against me, so I just click through and use Earthquake again and keep spamming A as I do, and teach / over Earthquake. I can't hear what I'm saying here, but from my expression, I think I'm pretty upset. But it's not too big of a deal since Dugtrio learns Earthquake by level up later on, but I mean, it is a little bit of a setback and a waste. Anyways, I fly through the rest of this battle. Gyarados knocks Dugtrio out with a Hydro Pump. Wartortle comes in and 2-shots Gyarados and 2-shots Growlithe, but then falls to Alakazam, but then Primeape comes out and sweeps through the rest of Rival's team with grace and ease. And then we take on Giovanni, and this was a blink and you'll miss. Okay, we're done, moving on. I head up to Sabrina's gym and start taking on the trainers there for some easy level ups, and with Dugtrio at level 36, I take on Sabrina. Kadabra's a 1-shot, Mr. Mime's a 2-shot, Venomoth's a 2-shot, and Alakazam's a 2-shot, earning us a decisive and incredibly easy Marsh badge. I was not worried at all about this badge. With Sabrina's team having really low defense and being weak to dig, she really stood no chance. This is one reason I decided to have a team in this run instead of just running one Pokemon, so I could have a mix of special and physical attackers. Blaine's gym is incredibly easy, nothing in here can even really touch my team, and I take on Blaine with level 36 Primeape, who 1-shots Growlithe, Ponyta, Rapidash, and 2-shots Arcanine. So, let's take on Giovanni. Coming off of a win streak against the Kanto gym leaders, let's see if we can finish it off. I take on Giovanni, leading with my level 38 Primeape. His Rhyhorn goes down in 2 hits, and then he sends out Dugtrio. I said I underestimated Gyarados in these runs, and I did not realize how much of a problem Dugtrio would be. It almost 1-shots Primeape, I switch out, but then it proceeds to outspeed and 1-shot the rest of my team with Dig. I send Primeape back out, and since I'm slower, I'm underground when his Dig hits, allowing Primeape to finally take it out. But then Nidoking takes out Primeape and this battle is over. So instead of mindlessly running in and fighting Giovanni again, I decide to get some level ups and fight all the trainers in his gym first. Once my own Dugtrio knocked out all of his trainers and got to level 40, I think it's time to face Giovanni again. Rhyhorn goes down to 2 digs, and then I'm hit with an idea. I'll probably outspeed his Dugtrio, which if I do, and we both go for Dig, I'll be above ground when his hits. So I went with a turn-wasting scratch in hopes he uses Dig. And he does. So I go for Dig and 1-shot it, then 2-shot the Nidoqueen and Nidoking. Rhydon, on the other hand, tanks Dugtrio's Dig. I decide to play off of Rhydon's low special stat, swap in Vaporeon, and take him out with a Surf and Blizzard, earning us the last badge of Kanto, the Earth badge. Alright, time for Rival 6. Pidgeot can't do anything again, so it goes down in 2 hits. I then decide to get Blastoise some much needed levels and swap in for Rhyhorn. And I should have set up because Gyarados takes Blastoise out in 1 hit with a Hydro Pump. I send Dugtrio back out, Gyarados gets a huge miss and goes down to a second dig. Primeape gets to see a little bit of action before Alakazam sets up a Reflect, and I send out Vaporeon to take out the remaining 2 members of his party. Time for the Elite Four! Well, actually first I have to catch something for strength because I haven't done that yet, and I encounter the Scrabbler, catch it, and since I've never used this pun before, I decided on the nickname Rocky. So anyways, I do make it to the Elite Four. My team is a level 42 Primeape, level 41 Blastoise, level 42 Dugtrio, and level 43 Vaporeon. Let's do this. I send Primeape out against Lorelei, hoping its high attack stat will be a better solution against the special attackers defenders on her team. Primeape knocks Dugong out easily enough, but then Cloyster comes out. Cloyster has a nasty combo of high defense and clamp, making it a challenge, and it knocks out Vaporeon and Dugtrio. I send Blastoise out and it does massive damage with a Surf, takes a hit from Cloyster, and then finishes it off with another Surf. I decide to heal and start setting up against Slowbro with Withdrawal for the badge boost glitch. Blastoise takes out Slowbro with 2 Surfs, Jinx with 2 Surfs, but then Blastoise gets a critical hit against Lapras, which does less damage than the badge boosted Surf, and Lapras takes it down. All I have left is Primeape, who comes out and clutches the win. I'm gonna be honest, I did not expect to win that fight. Bruno is next, and he potentially could be a threat with his fighting type Pokemon. I set up against Onix with Withdraw, but then end up leveling up against Hitmonchan. It doesn't matter if it Hitmonlee and Onix as they're still 1-shots, but Machamp ends up being a 3-hit. Luckily, it didn't do anything meaningful, and we get past Bruno. Next is Agatha. I counter her speedy rock types with my own speedy rock type. I failed to consider though how much damage Nightshade would do against Dugtrio, having so little HP, and Dugtrio knocks Gengar out with a little under half health. I heal against Golbat when Dugtrio's health gets really low and knock it out with a few digs. Haunter decides it wants to confuse everything, so I swap to Primeape and then to Vaporeon, who takes Haunter out with a few surfs. Arbok gets Vaporeon down to 59 health, and then Agatha swaps into Gengar and takes Vaporeon out with a well-timed Nightshade. Blastoise comes out to try to finish off the Gengar, but gets poisoned and hit with a Nightshade, taking it out. So I send Dugtrio back out to finish off her ace Gengar, and hopefully Arbok, but Arbok paralyzes Dugtrio, so I swap back into Primeape and finish the Arbok off with a dig. Wow, what an incredibly and needlessly complicated battle. Agatha is straight up awful if you don't outspeed and one-hit her Pokemon. But anyways, we won, moving right along. Up next is Lance. After landing a dig that does about half health to his Gyarados counters with a Hydro Pump and knocks Primeape out in one hit. But I send out Dugtrio and it crits and knocks out the scary Gyarados. But Dugtrio is now all out of digs, so I swap into Rocky. Both Dragonair are a 2-hit surf, as is Aerodactyl after I heal, and then I get a freeze off on his Dragonite. I needed that. I took my time swapping into Blastoise and whittling the Dragonite down with Water Gun. Lance wasn't bad, it was just getting past his Gyarados that's scary. Okay, here we go. Champion battle. I use up my rare candy, making sure to use enough on Dugtrio to get Earthquake back, and then we face Champion Rocky. He sends out his level 61 Pidgeot, and I send out my level 45 Blastoise. I start setting things up with Withdraw on his Pidgeot since it, again, can't really do too much unless it gets a crit. Once I'm all set up, I use Surf and get a crit, but then the second Surf knocks it out. Alakazam is a 2-hit with its massive special, but Rhydon is of course a 1-hit. And then I get an unlucky level up after Rhydon before Gyarados. No! Gyarados misses his first Hydro Pump and Blastoise gets some good damage off, but then it knocks out Blastoise on its next turn with a crit. I send Dugtrio out to try to clean up, but Earthquake doesn't do quite enough and Dugtrio goes down. I send Vaporeon out and is able to tank a Hydro Pump and finally finish off the Gyarados. I heal up on Arcanine and set up a little bit with Acid Armor. Surf is a 2-hit against Arcanine, and here we go. His last Pokemon. Mega Drain takes Vaporeon down to 3/4 health, and Surf does about half to Venusaur. But then Venusaur goes for Razor Leaf and crits Vaporeon, knocking it out. Down to Primeape. Dig takes Venusaur down to low health, but Venusaur anticipated it, charged up Solar Beam, and knocked Primeape out in one hit. I send Graveler out, but there's no chance, and we end up losing. I was down to his last Pokemon too. I was heartbroken. But I will admit, Lorelei and Agatha could have gone a little bit better, so I think it's time to train up a little bit. After getting Dugtrio to level 48, Blastoise and Vaporeon to level 47, Primeape to level 49, it's time to face the Elite Four again. I send Blastoise out against Lorelei, setting up with 2 Withdraw just in case we do get a level up. Dugong goes down in 2 hits, Cloyster is a 1-shot with a critical, Slowbro and Jinx go down easy enough, her Lapras takes out Blastoise with a Hydro Pump, but Vaporeon comes in to finish her off for the win. Bruno is a cakewalk. Vaporeon one-shots everything, except for the Machamp, who capitalizes on its one turn to use Leer. Yeah, Bruno was easy. Moving on to Agatha, I send out Dugtrio, and we outspeed this time. Gengar puts Dugtrio to sleep, but we have the Infinite Awakening Flute and knock her Gengar out. She then lets her Golbat get hit for more than half, switches into Haunter that gets 1 shot, and then back into Golbat, which Dugtrio finishes off. Arbok is a 2-hit after a Mist Glare, and Dugtrio gets an incredible crit dig off on her Ace Gengar, 1-shotting it, and earning us an easy no damage Agatha win. Such a better experience than last time. Alright, Lance with his lead Gyarados. I start off with Dugtrio coming off that incredible Agatha win. But Gyarados is a completely different beast entirely from Agatha's team, so Dugtrio gets knocked out in 1 hit. So I send Primeape out, hitting it with a dig and luring out a Hyper Potion. Gyarados then misses a Hydro Pump in the best possible time for me, and Primeape knocks it out with 2 digs. His first Dragonair goes down to 1 dig, but his second hangs on by a little sliver, so is a 2-hit. Aerodactyl goes down to 2 hits, and then I swap into Blastoise, set up some withdraws, and 2-hit the Dragonite, winning the battle. Okay, here we go again, champion battle. I use my rare candies to level everything up to level 50, put Blastoise out in front, and here we go. He sends out his level 61 Pidgeot, and I send out my level 50 Blastoise and start setting up withdrawals for badge boost. Pidgeot is doing pitiful damage against Blastoise, so this is perfect. Fully set up, Surf one-shots Pidgeot. It does major damage against Alakazam, and then I press my luck and go for a resisted bite just to ridicule Alakazam's poor defense and get the KO. Rhydon is a one-shot, no surprise there. Then Gyarados takes big damage, and his Hydro Pump does just under half damage to Blastoise. Unfortunately, we level up, but we still have the rest of our team, so we're not looking too bad. Arcanine is a 2-hit after I heal, and now we're back. Starter against starter, Blastoise against Venusaur. Surf does just under half damage to Venusaur, which starts taking in Sunlight for Solar Beam. A second Surf takes Venusaur down to healing range, and Rival Champion uses a full restore here, delaying Solar Beam a turn. Blastoise lands a clutch critical, taking Venusaur down to a third of its health, and then Solar Beam hits. But Blastoise survives with 23 HP and clutches the fight with a final Surf. We did it! We beat Pokemon Red with everything being a rock type. So let's answer the question of the video. How easy is it to beat Pokemon Red if everything is mono rock type? Taking into account we only needed to grind at the very end of the game, and even then it might not have been completely necessary, and the fact that very little hit for effective damage throughout the run, I'm going to put rock type only on the easy section of the super scientifically sound difficulty rating scale. This location is subject to change as I play more of these, but I think this is a good place for it right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. We'd love to have you around. I plan on doing more of these runs as kind of a series. I think I said I was going to do grass type next in the VOD, but since the audio messed up, who knows what I will do. But why not subscribe so you get notified when that one comes out. Thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time.